What's up, guys? It's Paul, the MMA Shark, back at it. And before the big UFC 280 card this weekend, tomorrow night on UFC Fight Pass, we have LFA 145, Assis versus Murray. And if you followed my LFA video last week, chances are you made some money. And I'm doing it again this week. I'm giving out all my straight plays from LFA 145 right now on this video. So I'm going to do a quick breakdown. Obviously, this weekend is overshadowed by the massive UFC 280 fight card in Abu Dhabi between Charles do Bronx Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. What a card it's going to be. I cannot wait. But let's make a little bit of money before that card. Maybe build the bankroll up a little bit before it. I crush these cards. I compare them to Dana White Contender Series cards. Historically, I do very well on them. So let's see how I do. Every free play I'm going to give you, I'm going to suggest go a unit on each play. So go a unit on each play if you're following a system, or just sprinkle them. Whatever you do, have fun with it. Nobody gets rich or goes broke betting on LFA. At least you absolutely should not. They should just be fun Friday night, something to do bets. So fight one of the main card, very interesting welterweight fight between Wisconsin's Scott Ritz and Indiana's Craig Firth. Craig Firth is coming in the underdog at this fight. Live line right now is plus 150. He is 9-5 as a professional, training out of Team Cologne MMA, a very small school. His last fight was a very impressive win over Hopton Stewart. Prior to that, he got a submission victory over Mike De La Vega. He did lose by triangle choke to LFA rising star Lucas Clay. That's not a bad loss to have on your resume. Lucas Clay is 9-2, dropping a decision to Aaron McKenzie, but defeating Austin Worms with a beautiful knee earlier in July. So Scott Ritz definitely is proved to be a favorite in this fight. Right now he's showing minus 180. I think that's an incredible value. He's coming off 3 finishes in a row. He's fighting at home in Wisconsin. He trains out of Rising Sun MMA in Wisconsin. Neither are fighting out of a huge school. Neither are really training with any major UFC fighters. But he is coming off a knockout win in LFA, and that was back in April of this year when he knocked out Derek Smith. He has excellent forward pressure. He's not afraid to give a few to take a few. He's got the takedown advantage over Craig Fruth. He's got the advantage everywhere, on the feet, on the ground. Minus 180 is indeed justified. And for that reason and more, I'm going with Scott Ritz in fight 1 of the main card. Fight 2 of the main card, very exciting fight. I think it's basically a mirror of each other in this fight. You have Jake Kozorosky, who was my lightweight champion for the longest time. He was one of the most decorated amateurs in Pennsylvania history. And then he continued with me for his first 3 pro fights at PA Cage Fight. He won all 3, 2 of which were main events in very impressive fashion. His pro debut, he took on Melvis Figueiredo, who out of Miller Brothers MMA at the time was a black belt. Melvis was supposed to wipe the floor with Jake, and Jake was way too much for him. After that, he took on Mike Pagano in my cage. Everyone thought Mike would knock him out cold. Mike never even came close. And then he fought Kahim Murray in my cage. Kahim Murray with the big win on Bellator 2 fights ago. He did have 2 setbacks. One was to Eugene Aubrey, very tough Renzo Gracie fighter out of Philly. He got knocked out really quick. I think it was something like 15 seconds in round 1. Eugene Aubrey, very tough fighter. Unfortunately, was the victim of a gunshot and was left paralyzed. It was a very sad story. I tried to book Kozorosky versus Aubrey too. It never came into play. He did lose his LFA debut to Lucas Clay, who also defeated Scott Ritz. Lucas Clay is very good. He caught Jake with a Bravo choke in round 2, a round that Jake was winning, a round that Jake looked like he was going to actually finish Clay in. Jake used to train in Pennsylvania. He has since moved to train at Rufus Sport, so he's going to have Duke Rufus in his corner. He moved out to Milwaukee. He's training with the Pettis brothers. He's training with Emmanuel Sanchez. He did a lot of wrestling and grappling with Ben Askren. He's currently training with Rafael Stotts. He's a very tough fighter. He's a very live dog in this fight. Taking on Gennrich, who is the hometown kid at a Fox Valley Grappling Club. Very sleek on the ground. LFA, he did have one loss over Evan Elder, who was 3-0 at the time. I did follow Evan Elder since, who has now climbed to 7-1 and made the UFC. Made his debut in April and lost a decision to Preston Parsons. So his lone career loss, only loss since 2015, has been to someone who is now in the UFC. I look at the level of competition he's fought. It's been decent. Austin Lutchen, his last fight at LFA, he won a decision. Austin Lutchen was 5-1 at the time, has since gone to 5-2. It's a tough fight. It's a 50-50 fight. I trust Jake's grappling and wrestling in this fight. I think he could possibly pull off some sort of an armbar or some kind of sleek submission. I am going with Jake Kozorosky plus 170 in this fight. Not because I'm friends with him, not because he's my former champion, strictly because I think he wins the fight. If you watched my LFA video last week, I said that I was very good friends with Daquan Buckley. Did not play a role in my decision on that fight. We went against him, and he was submitted in the first round. So I never put out bets with my heart. I truly believe that Jake Kozorowski has all the tools and then some to put away Genrich in that fight. Feature fight of the evening, you have 5-1 Titus White taking on 3-0 Miguel Sanson. Miguel Sanson, this is at flyweight. Miguel Sanson is the hometown kid fighting out of Burlington, Wisconsin. Coming off a shoulder injury win over Gonzalo Ponce. Gonzalo Ponce was actually 3-4 at the time when they, 4-3 at the time when they fought. Was winning the fight, was beating Miguel. Miguel has never lost as an amateur or a pro. He did have some tough fights that he took as an amateur, which is always good to see. As a pro so far, other than fighting 3-4 Ponce, he fought a 2-1 and won a split decision, and a 1-0. All of his pro fights have come under the LFA banner. Titus White will be his toughest test to date by far. He's out of Pure Vita, BJJ, and MMA, which many of you may know is owned by UFC vet Zach Otto. A lot of tough fighters in that. Ricky Glenn's out of there. Jonas Flock's out of there. Montel Quick Jackson's out of there. A lot of UFC vets. Lenny Rafati, who is a very good pro fighter right now, training out of there. So he is training with high-level competition. Coming off a Darce choke victory. You can tell it's been a long MMA week on LFA 129 back in April of this year over a very tough Jeff Jepson, who is a brown belt. That was the signature submission win. He did lose to Tony Laramie back last December by decision. Prior to that, he ran through his first 4 pro fighters. So, close fight. Definitely a close fight. Better jiu-jitsu on the Sanson side. Better well-rounded fighting. Better training partners. A better reach advantage. Titus White is going to be 2 inches taller with a 3-inch reach advantage. Just training out of a better gym, fighting tougher people. It's hard to pass on this, so for my play in this fight, I'm going with White Mamba, Titus White, at plus 150. I'm pretty confident in this play. 25 years old. Miguel is 23 years old. I really am feeling Titus White to get the victory in this fight. When you see him walk out to the cage, he looks like a 12-year-old. Don't let it fool you. He's got a lot of fight in him. Co-main event of the evening, not much to talk about. Olivia Beeskau is 1-1. She has basically fought no one as a pro or an amateur. Coming off a loss to a 3-1. She did win her pro debut by decision, knocking off an 0-6. Jenna Bishop coming off a very big win over Luana Santos, split decision win. But she looked very good in that split decision win. She was 1-0 as a pro, taking on a 3-0. Did everything she had to get the fight done. She's very good on the ground, does a lot of grappling tournaments. Jenna Bishop absolutely wins this fight. My suggestion, avoid that juice. She's minus 650 right now. Skip it, or maybe parlay Jenna Bishop with Scott Ritz to get that down to about a minus 145, 150 parlay. Main event of the evening. I like the dog in this fight. I like Jesse Murray to get the win He is plus 170 at the moment and climbing. A lot of chalks being laid on Bruno Assis, and he just doesn't have the chin to back it. He is 12-6 as a professional. He is coming off a nasty loss to Ozzy Diaz. If you've been watching LFA and Dana White's Contender Series, Ozzy Diaz is the decorated striker, knockout artist that Joe Pyfer absolutely floored in the second round. Prior to that, Bruno Assis did pull off 3 wins in a row. One over 5-0 Jalen Fuller, one over 4-1 Sean O'Shea, and an armbar finish over Jeremy Holloway in the first round. So he only lost one of his last 4 fights. 2 of the 4 were finish wins. 1 was by decision. Jesse Murray, I think, gets this fight won. He's coming in out of Ohio. He's 29 years old, out of Strong Style Fight Team. He's looked good in his fights. His footage has looked really good. He did get a TKO loss to someone that I'm talking about all week because I feel like everyone this man has fought is fighting this weekend, whether it's on LFA or UFC. But he did lose to Kyle Baralho on Contender Series. He looked terrible in that fight, but he was outmatched. Kyle Baralho is for real. He's a real deal. He's making a run in the UFC now. He's a minus 300 on the UFC card this weekend. So that loss doesn't really hurt his resume. Prior to that, he had an awesome Ezekiel choke submission over Tim Hiley, and another decision win over Roger Pratcher. As far as his amateur career, he knocked out a 4-0 and a 1-0. So he's pretty young in his career. He's 29 years old. The only time he's been finished was to 10-2 Jason Butcher, but that came in 2017. He's got a lot of good training in since. And obviously the Kyle Baralho loss back in last October. Came back, knocked off a 9-2, looked really good doing it. What scares me with Bruno Assis is his chin. He's been knocked out by Ozzy Diaz. He's been knocked out by Aaron Jeffrey. He's been knocked out by Daniel Pereira. He's been knocked out by Andrew Munez. He's been knocked out on the regional scene. He just hasn't been as strong. He did get knocked out by Paulo Costa in 2015. He's absolutely fought the better competition, but to lay minus 225 on this 30-year-old that gets finished every time he loses is quite a scare for me. Underdogs cash more often than not in the LFA, and I just think that Jesse Murray is going to pull off this win here. There's no, maybe he should be plus 200, plus 220. Chances are it will go to that by morning. He's plus 165, 170 right now. Maybe hang out a little bit. The line's not going to go down. If anything, it's just going to go up because the house money is going to come in on Bruno Assis. 94% on Tapology are on Bruno Assis. I just don't see him getting this win. Call me nuts, call me crazy, just call me. But they're my 5 plays for LFA 145 tomorrow night. Just going over it again, I got Jesse Murray plus 170, Jenna Bishop to win, Titus White plus 150, Jake Kozorosky plus 170, and Scott Ritz minus 200. You could parlay all 5 at plus 3,000. Maybe put $1 on it to win $30. Put $3 on it to win 90, and sign up to www.themmashark.com. If all 5 hit, you get a month at the MMA Shark for $3. If you're willing to take that plus 3,000 odds parlay on LFA. Big weekend of MMA coming up. www.themmashark.com. 25% off coupon embedded in the website when you go to it. I am the world's #1 MMA handicapper. No one cares about their subscribers more than me. And at the end of the day, all that matters is no one makes their subscribers more money than I do. So huge weekend of MMA coming up. Couple free plays for LFA tomorrow. And hopefully we can all cash, make some money. Let's get it.